Hi, this is David Davis from virtualizationsoftware.com, and I'm here at VMworld Europe in Barcelona, and I'm honored to be with Mr. Steve Kaplan, who's ROI Dude on Twitter, for those of you who don't know, and Steve is with Nutanix. So Steve, tell me, what do you do for Nutanix?
I'm Vice President of Channel and Strategic Sales.
Okay, very cool, and I know you've relatively recently started with Nutanix?
Yeah, 7 months ago,
Several months ago, okay.
Kind of makes me an old timer.
Yeah. And I heard Nutanix is growing quickly.
Very quickly, the fastest growing infrastructure company of the last decade.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Roughly how many employees do you guys have now, or how fast is it growing?
Growing very fast, over 300 now. I think when I joined there were about 150.
Wow, so roughly doubling in not even the last year.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of buzz around Nutanix recently. Why is that?
I think that the word is getting out, that people are increasingly understanding that there's this new approach, this new architecture to the data center. Of course, it's not really new. Google pioneered it over 10 years ago, this type of scale-out architecture using a distributed file system has already won in the cloud provider space. They don't use SANs for the primary businesses, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and so on. Well, that same type of architecture Nutanix has brought over to the enterprise, and customers are getting it, they love it, they're growing with it, partners are getting it, partners love what it can do for their businesses, and yeah, absolutely, the buzz is growing.
Cool. So I've heard the term converged infrastructure. Is that the proper term for the Nutanix solution or not?
I think if you go by the Wiktionary definition of convergence, which is the merger of distinct technologies, industries, or devices into a unified whole, that it absolutely applies. But the problem is that the industry's kind of appropriated the terminology for any solution that takes a compute tier and a storage tier and places them together in a rack or a chassis, maybe later software on top, and that's called converged infrastructure, which is, of course, very, very different. There's two different tiers of compute and storage that are both taking up space, that are both requiring management. Nutanix truly converges the compute and storage. Some people call it hyperconvergence. So, as with all converged solutions, like telecommunications, for instance, with voice over IP, the convergence of voice and data eliminated the redundant hardware with PBXs, the redundant management with PBXs. Well, Nutanix does the same thing with compute and storage. We're eliminating the redundant hardware components. We're eliminating the need to manage storage separately from the virtualization components.
Interesting. So Nutanix is, I heard, relatively off-the-shelf hardware.
It is, absolutely. It's commodity off-the-shelf hardware. We're a software company.
And so Nutanix is a software company. I think that's an interesting distinction, from some of these other solutions, as you mentioned, that package, physical servers from Cisco and, storage from other companies and put it in a big rack. So,
yeah, because the other big buzzword out there that's often associated with converged infrastructure is software-defined storage.
Okay.
But when you have a proprietary hardware array where the intelligence lives, and you have physical storage controllers that are managing that array, it really is not that in sync with the term software-defined storage. We truly are software-defined storage. We take all the intelligence, abstract it out of the hardware, and put it all up into the software.
Interesting. So it uses vSphere.
Yes.
And vCenter still.
Yes, out of the box. In fact, out of the box, you can have Nutanix up and running with vMotion and HA and fault tolerance and so on in under 30 minutes.
Really? I heard of one case study where a company was looking at replacing their physical SAN, upgrading their SAN, and they found out that they could buy a Nutanix solution, replace the SAN and the servers, and still save money and get more capacity and density. Have you seen other companies? Have you seen that a lot?
Yeah, we see it all the time, and really more than that. Nutanix just won Best of VMworld Gold Award for Best Private Cloud Solution. 2 years ago, we won Best Virtual Desktop Solution, EUC. And both of those use cases are really interesting because in both cases, it's rare that an organization knows where they're going to end up 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road in terms of number of users, or a private cloud, maybe how many departments will be online, what kind of services, what kind of resources will be required. So asking them to buy the storage up front, or in the case of a converged infrastructure solution, storage and the compute up front, is very, very difficult, arguably impossible.
Yeah.
And if they get it wrong, it's very penurious. They're either faced with a major forklift upgrade and all the complexity that accompanies that down the road, or if they just buy so much up front, then they have a big penalty to ROI, even bigger penalty, and it means that 2 or 3 years down the road they're using old technology. But with Nutanix, they can start small and expand perfectly linearly, one node at a time, so it takes all the risk and all the uncertainty out of the project, and it also means, because of the benefit of Moore's Law, that as the years go by, they're going to be getting the latest CPU, the fastest cache, the fastest memory, and all the latest technology. So that Nutanix is an enabler of these types of projects, private cloud, VDI, and so on.
Well, I think it says a lot that you guys won for both private cloud and VDI. It just shows there's a lot of different uses.
Yeah, we won in between the Best Gold for Big Data. So the only company to win Best of VMworld Gold Award 3 years in a row. And we're only, 3.5, 4-year-old company.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I look forward to getting some more experience. I'm going to get a hands-on demo here at VMworld of Nutanix, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, same here, David. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve.